In today's video, we're going to be diving into our official September forecast of 2024, going over the temperatures, the precipitation, and the very exciting overall forecast at the end. Today is, of course, September 1st, so it's the very, very best time to upload this, right as we're diving into this new month. And this new month is an important one in weather. It's the first day of meteorological fall on September 1st. So it's our first full fall month. So this is going to be an exciting one. Be sure to check out Prestige Weather underneath this video in the description, pinned comment on our store section, and on the top right corner of your screen. We are doing a $50 giveaway if you can correctly guess the date and time of our next named storm. You don't have to be precise, of course, but the closest guess without going over will win that $50. So be sure to join Prestige Weather, only $4.99 a month, and you can gain access to that $50 competition among other early access posts, such as the ones on screen here. Of course, the September forecast, the fall foliage one are already up, but there is others up there and others coming very soon, so be sure to check it out today. Let's dive into things. Take a look here at the temperature anomaly forecast, and these monthly forecasts are a lot easier than the seasonal ones because we already have a good glimpse of the first 10 to 15 days of September, so we use that as a heavy reference. That's the part that we know the most. The final half is a little bit more uncertain, but we do have reason to suspect certain things, so a little more uncertain, but there is some confidence going forward towards the end of this month. And really the pattern starting out, the next couple days is already going to look like this. We do expect a pattern like this to persist through a lot of the early portion of September, and there is some reason to believe that a pattern such as this one can be pretty prominent towards the end as well. So I feel highly confident in this forecast particularly. We do have above average temperatures, as I mentioned, expected out west, and this is going to go for states like Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and then a lot of western Texas. We do have a second layer of this, and that is where we're even more confident in the above average temperatures, and this is going to be for the more southwest areas of this orange blob, and these are the areas where we're highly confident in above average temperatures. Now, keep in mind, I think this is an important time to note that it's not going to be hot the whole time. You can't expect all, 30 days of September to be above normal, but we're only forecasting that the majority will be, and that the average of that entire 30-day month will look this way. So keep in mind that not every day will look the way that we're forecasting, but we do expect many of them too. So again, California, Nevada, southern Utah into Arizona, New Mexico will be the most above average. I know what you're probably thinking, hey, these are the hottest areas in the nation, some of these. And of course they're going to be hotter than the rest of the nation, but we're talking compared to normal. So some of the deserts in there where it gets very hot, we expect temperatures higher than what is typical for those specific areas. That's how all of this is going to work throughout this video. Let's talk a little bit about the below normal temperatures. I know a lot of you are probably worried about that or looking forward to it in many cases. And we can see that a lot of the central and eastern states are expected to be below average. And again, the next couple of days will reflect this, so you're going to feel this very early on. This isn't a long-range projection. This is going to be happening relatively soon. Some of you, it's already occurring. Others, just wait a couple of days and it will be here. So below average, really, for most areas to the east of the plains. Even some of the eastern plains are involved here, but mostly to the east of the plains, below average temperatures are what we anticipate for the month of September here. Let's take a look quickly at a second layer of below average temperatures, where again, we're more confident. We expect many Arctic blasts for this area here in particular. So throughout the Midwest, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, we do expect Arctic blasts to impact these areas over time. Also, along the east coast, we expect what's called backdoor cold fronts, and overall some of this cold with these Arctic blasts to linger longer. So that's why we're a little bit more confident in these areas as well. East of the Appalachian Mountains, sometimes this cooler air can get trapped to the east of those mountains, and that is what I do anticipate, and that's why we kind of have a little less certainty to the west of those mountains. That is the current expectations here. As we take a look at the precipitation forecast, we can see we do expect below average precipitation throughout this thin strip. It's kind of an odd shape, but I'll explain a little bit later. But throughout the Southwest in particular, so Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, throughout a lot of Texas, Oklahoma, Southern Kansas, Southern Missouri, most of Arkansas, The very far northern Gulf states, Tennessee, Kentucky, throughout portions of the Appalachian Mountain Range as well, we expect below average precipitation to really prevail in these areas. The reason why this doesn't reach to the coast is because we do have just high potential for tropical activity for the Gulf Coast and the Southeast Coast, even extending up into the New England coast, as some storms may draw pretty close to these areas. Definitely not unheard of. But with the above average conditions for tropical development, we are going to be including them in the above average precipitation chance just because of the inherent risk of tropical activity, which would certainly bring above average precipitation to any areas impacted. With that being said, we don't expect above average precipitation for all of these areas. It just could be anywhere in there. So it's more of a precautionary above average precipitation forecast than actually expecting from the southern Texas coast all the way up to the northern Maine coast to be above average precipitation. There could be some other coastal storms in there as well, even though we're not kind of neutral and so heading maybe towards a La Nina. We could perhaps see some nor'easter activity, still could be a possibility, so that is also another factor. For areas further north and further west, we do have another above average precipitation area, and this is going to be for a lot of the northwest, like Washington, Oregon, northern California, northern Nevada. Also for the Rockies, like Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, down through Utah and Colorado. And then for the northern plains, upper Midwest, and even into the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, we expect this above average precipitation. This is a little bit more of that La Nina look, where the storm track is typically tracking along these northern states. And we've actually seen a pattern like this already kind of set up and take place. So I do expect that to continue in very many ways. So you get these storms over the United States, particularly for the Northwest, Northern Plains, and through the Upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. We have a drier patch where really there's a lack of storms through the Southwest, through the Southern Plains, or for the Appalachian Mountain Range. But we do have that tropical activity perhaps for some of the areas along the coast here, so they could see above average precipitation as well. I like to dive into the whys, and I think that that's mostly what I'm referring to here is the why I'm forecasting this. We do have a second layer of the above average precipitation, and this is mostly going to be for those northern areas. We're a bit more confident in there being a widespread area of above average precipitation through this northwest corridor and north central corridor, with those storms, like I said, that are already kind of taking place pretty frequently now. So we don't expect that to slow down. We really expect that to accelerate actually through the month of September. So I definitely think that this is a good possibility. We don't have a second layer for the Gulf Coast and East Coast because, again, it would be dry if it wasn't for tropical activity, and that isn't going to be for everywhere. So I would say there's no area in particular along the Gulf and East Coast that we're super confident in above average precipitation whatsoever. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the very exciting overall forecast that I know so many of you love. We do expect stormy conditions for the Northwest and to the Rockies. Could spell some very early season snowfall chances for the Cascades and Rockies. Usually September is a 50-50 shot. We may not see snowfall in those mountains. We may also see a cold shot come through there. Again, we're not really anticipating below normal temperatures for those areas, but there could be some very short-lived periods of below normal temperatures that accompany a storm, and that could set up the perfect storm for potential snowfall in those mountain ranges. So that's why we've kind of expressed the chance here. We do expect dry and hot conditions for the Southwest to really prevail, especially in the reds, but somewhat in the orange as well. Cooling overall for the South Central states, where I know you guys have been suffering from the heat. I do expect a cooling trend to take place here throughout September. Some cool downs impacting you guys, and definitely should be a lot more pleasant than August. Can't guarantee it's not going to be hot at times, but should be better than August, obviously. To the north of this area, we do have big cold shots expected, especially in the purple here, where we could get into the 40s, even upper 30s as lows occasionally. But the blues should also be impacted quite a bit by these big cold shots. Arctic blasts could be a frequency here in the east, as we're already setting up multiple here over the coming weeks. That could extend, like I said earlier, into the late portion of September, which would definitely spell an overall theme of Arctic blasts throughout the entirety of the month of September. And then active tropics are expected. September is the peak of our hurricane season on average. And we do have above average conditions in the entire Atlantic Ocean. So we are in for a doozy likely here for the Gulf and East Coast. Let's pray and hope that we're spared. But definitely looking like a higher chance than normal that we do see some impacts along these Gulf and East Coasts, unfortunately. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to check out Prestige Weather underneath the video in the description, pinned comment, and our store section. Be sure to subscribe. We do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.